Thanks for joining us on Khari Free at Last, exclusively, oh, I love that word, on Bounce23 TV. While people of color make up about 30% of the United States population, they account for 60% of those in prison. The prison population grew by 700% from 1970 to 2005, a rate that is outpacing crime and population rates. The incarceration rates disproportionately impact men of color. 1 of every 15 African-American men and 1 of every 36 Hispanic men are incarcerated in comparison to 1 in every 106 white men. Joining me is TalkTainmentRadio.com host Jallow, the Reverend John Coates, and Donella Martin-Braddix. Woo! Good gracious sakes alive. All right, we've got a crime problem in our community. Now, or do we? Maybe it's injustice not allowed. Maybe we should redefine it. Why do we go with high crime rate, low crime rate? We don't ever talk about all the money laundering and the mafia and the Russian mafia and all that stuff. We just focus on crime.
Well, based on the statistics that you just cited, we have an incarceration problem in the black community.
Yeah, but how do you get in?
It's a modern day slavery. Think about how much worse it would be.
You don't do the crime, you don't do the time. What's wrong with you?
No. What happens is that if you cut someone off from what they need to survive, they will resort to committing crimes. And then added on top of that, we have a higher number of incidents of being stopped by police and not receiving warrants.
I would pity the fool, but I also got a problem when somebody comes through my house and does a home invasion. I'm supposed to say, oh, he's just starved.
No.
He comes from underprivileged.
You're supposed to kill that person.
Oh, wait a minute.
But y'all don't believe in stand your ground. You don't support stand.
Did you hear him just say kill?
I just heard the Republican in you come out, Pastor.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. And he's against the 10 Commandments.
Wow.
What did the 10 Commandments say? Thou shalt not kill. What's wrong with you, son?
And what it also says that there's a time to kill as well as there's a time to heal. I will protect my family. I'll protect my children. And if my castle is invaded...
The Bible says thou shalt not kill. Does it, Donella Martin-Braddix?
It absolutely does. I know that.
You didn't read the clause. The clause and the tense meant unjustifiably. And the tense of it meant unjustifiably. You cannot kill unjustified. I'm just telling you the truth.
You are condoning murder. How dare you?
No, I'm condoning self-defense.
I don't believe you said that.
Every American has the right to protect
Donella
themselves.
Martin, jump in here. Help him out.
Well, you know what?
Don't save him. Roast him.
He's got the Bible and he's got the Constitution. That's
mixed
it.
Up?
That's all you need.
He's got it mixed up?
Well, you know what the thing about it is? They contradict each other. They work with each other. I mean, basically, if you quote from the Bible and Constitution, you're right. Well, of course, if someone breaks into your home. Now, I am a black person. I love black people. But if a young black person or older black person does come into my home, I certainly do have the right to protect myself.
Are you going to kill him?
They're not coming in to make cookies and tea with me.
Are you going to kill him? Are you going to kill him?
I'm going to hurt him real bad.
Are you going to kill him? Reverend says you ought to kill.
Listen, I'm going to hurt him and disable him if I can, but if I can't, I will kill him.
My goodness. You see what I'm saying? Now, what do we do about crime in the neighborhood, Reverend?
What we do about crime in the neighborhood is we stop committing crime. It's important that we have a new standards in which we live
I'm sorry,
by
I got to
community.
Eat. I may have to buy some I can't go to the stores no more and get the VCRs. I mean, I can't go get my movies.
But
you better go someplace else and commit your crime. Don't do it with
nobody else sell the movies at 6 for $20.
Right, but
you ask me how I know?
But the thing is, you're talking about material things that you might want. You're not talking about what you may need.
I need my movies. What's wrong with you? I need movies for psychological
No, you don't need to watch TV. You need to eat.
Stimulation.
And let's face it, people who are breaking into other people's homes and stealing their belongings, they're not doing that because they need to eat.
Right.
They're doing it because of greed, because of materialism.
Oh, that's not true.
Absolutely.
They're doing it because of entitlement issues. They thought they was entitled to your big screen TV, which is why they kicked you.
But John says you should kill him.
If they kick in your door, he got a pistol. Yeah, you got to handle your business.
John said you should, but the Bible says thou shalt not kill.
Even God, my God is not a punk.
Oh! Oh, goodness.
Okay?
Oh.
Let me put that out there. My God is not a punk.
But first of all, I'm
I'm
glad to find out that you believe in God.
Yeah, I do.
So in essence, if you don't kill somebody, you're a punk. Is that what you're saying?
If somebody comes in, listen to me, if somebody comes into my home.
If you don't kill somebody, you're a punk.
If somebody comes into my home where I have my children, where I feel safe, which is what I pay for every month, and you got a gun and you ain't coming in, I'm with her, you're not coming to make cookies, it's on and popping.
Right.
It's me and you.
That's so unchristian.
I don't believe any of you, because the reality is that you want to protect yourself within your home.
All right, stay
but yet
right
you
there.
don't support stand your ground.
We're going to get into that. 1 in 3 black men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. Wow. Up next on Khari, Free at Last. Welcome back to Khari, Free at Last. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 1 in 3 black men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. Individuals of color have a disproportionate number of encounters with law enforcement. A report by the Department of Justice found that blacks and Hispanics were approximately 3 times more likely to be searched during a traffic stop than white motorists. African Americans were twice as likely to be arrested and almost 4 times as likely to experience the use of force during encounters with the police. Whew, that's something. Joining me is TalkTainmentRadio.com host Earth Jallow, the Reverend John Coates, and Donella Martin-Braddix. Oh, I messed up on Donella, didn't I? I went fast. 1 in 4. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. They can be stopped and searched. They can have violent encounters. How dare you say that we don't have a right to defend ourselves? How dare you bring in that Republican attitude with that blue tie? Hey, I got a blue one on too.
Yes, you do. And you're an older Republican than I am.
And you're a younger Republican than I am. So you still into, I ain't no Republican. Anyway, keep going. I fell into that trap.
Look, we do have a right to defend ourselves. And not just within our homes, but we have a right to defend ourselves in the street. I should not have to...
What about these search and seizures? What about these frisks? Police stopping you and frisking black people at 4 times, huh?
That's another category of crime. That's police crime against us, okay? That's another category.
Explain that a little bit.
Well, we are victims of police. And if anyone doesn't think that selective prosecution is alive and well in our system, they're smoking crack cocaine, because selective prosecution is alive and well, and so is the thin blue line. It didn't die with Serpico.
You're saying police are criminals?
Some are, yes.
Oh, evidence. Back it up.
Some are.
Back it up.
Well,
Give me a report that documents that.
The evidence is reflective in the number of black men that have been unjustly arrested. If it was not for the Innocence Project, where real DNA was being taken and then examined and compared, a lot of black men who were released in jail within the last 10 years would have died in jail.
But wait a minute. The first number you dial when you're in trouble is who? You don't dial Khari.
And I have
you don't dial Reverend Coates. You dial the police.
And I have the right to do that as a tax-paying American citizen. I have the right to be able to call the police and expect the police to serve me as a citizen, yes. But in turn, the same police that I call to protect me, I should not have to fear for my life if I see those lights flash behind my car.
Are police protecting and serving in our community, or are they committing acts of injustice?
No, they are committing acts of injustice. And I don't want to say it's the entire, every policeman or woman who dons the blue uniform is a criminal. But I'm telling you, a lot of them, the ones that are, make it bad for the ones that are not.
Oh, Donella, come on. You don't buy that. I know you don't.
Well, I do.
All the good work that the police departments do in our city, all of the crime, because of their presence, they keep down. How dare y'all put this position out there?
Let me tell you something.
That was good preaching.
It was great. I loved it. I loved it.
All right.
I'm ready to go to the other side for a minute. We do attack the police, and there is police crime. But what we need to address is we need to address the lawlessness and the lack of morals that exist in our own communities and make us vulnerable to more police crime.
That's right.
And we need to put the focus on that. We need to have mothers, when your children come in and they're coming in with a wad of cash, and you know that they don't have a job, and they have guns under their bed or in their dresser drawers that you are aware of, you need to be telling on your children And we need to set a no-tolerance policy for our neighborhoods and communities.
But we have, and you're absolutely right and correct, because we have an anti-snitching policy that exists within the black community that we ought to eradicate. We know who shot Pookie.
I don't believe you being subservient to her.
We know who did it.
I don't believe you being subservient.
We're going to switch seats that, which is true. She just told the truth. It was rare, but she told the truth.
I want to piggyback, but I also want to expand what Donella said. She said that we have to address the moral issues within our own community. I want to...
Wait a minute. What about the moral issues? Hold on for a minute. Wait a minute. What about the moral issues of people who run the thing?
Let me
What
finish.
about the moral issues of those who are in power and implement injustice on black people 24/7?
Well,
how come nobody calls out their morality?
If I could get it out, because I did have the floor.
Well, get it out.
However, I want to expand that. That you said, you talked about the moral issue within our community. I want to stop putting it out there and making it seem like that the people who are in positions of government and policemen and this and that are any different than average regular people. They have their own issues. Some of them, their moral compass is off. Some of them don't have any values. Just because you put on that suit don't make you right. You have to deal with your own stuff before you come out here in the community dealing with everybody else.
But they're held to a higher standard.
Yes,
you shouldn't be there.
But it doesn't mean that they don't have mental illnesses as well.
They ain't supposed to have no mental illness.
But guess what? They get in.
Wait a minute.
They get in. Racists get in on the police force every single day.
In Columbus, we're losing the largest number of black police officers ever in many years. Many of them are retired. So now we're looking at essentially a large white police force policing a mostly black community.
Which is very,
that's where their focus is.
That's why certain organizations, such as the Ohio Coalition of Concerned Black Citizens, has advocated for decades that as for a police officer, you ought to live where you police at.
Absolutely.
Okay, but yet there's resistance to that because a great number of police officers don't even live within the municipality of Columbus, Ohio, or in a touching
What
county.
you're saying is that black people are victims of criminal injustice. Is that what you're saying?
Most certainly. And we have a police department that is unwilling to set up a citizens review board in order to have some type of
Well, you just
oversight.
had your first female. You got a female who's police chief now. Don't you think she might have some greater sensitivity to the problems that we're talking about?
Unfortunately, no.
In Columbus?
Unfortunately, no. She's not coming to the household to potentially arrest a young person. You know, it's going to be the officers who are doing that. And when they look at our children, they don't see our children as children. They see them as violent perpetrators and criminals. And that's why we do need to have black officers, because there's more of the potential, hopefully, that they will see our children as humans.
The police don't believe that. Why would you say the police look at our children as little criminals?
They absolutely do.
No, they don't.
We have been portrayed as, our children have been portrayed as menaces to society. Let's look at Trayvon Martin. Let's look at Jordan Davis. Let's look at all of these young black males who are killed, and you have a large segment of the population who's celebrating that. Yes, one less menace to society.
And we help fuel that image. As we walk, when we walk down the streets with our pants hanging down off our behinds and everything, the foul language that you hear, language you hear these kids using on the streets, the marijuana that they're smoking, yes.
It gives you the right to shoot an unarmed young black man in the back.
It does not give them the right, but yet we help fuel that perception of us.
You said it doesn't give them the right? What do you mean?
No, it doesn't give you the right to shoot in the back an unarmed citizen, black, white, purple, or green, when they're no threat to you.
But Reverend said black children are the problem.
Listen,
not
the thing about it
I said that we fuel the image.
Same thing.
Are fearful of people who look like you and who look like you of your complexion.
Meaning what?
And meaning that a lot of these white officers, I'm saying it, a lot of the white officers are fearful for whatever reason, and they're shooting these black men and these black boys who are unarmed in the back, and that is
many are fearful of a thug.
Wait a minute, hold on. Black students acting badly or targets of racism? Up next on Khari, Free at Last. Welcome back to Khari, Free at Last. Students of color face harsher punishments in school than their white peers, leading to a higher number of youth of color incarcerated. Black and Hispanic students represent more than 70% of those involved in school-related arrests or referrals to law enforcement. Joining me is TalkTainmentRadio.com host Irv Jallow, the Reverend John Coates, and Donella Martin-Braddix. All right. Now, looks like it starts, Reverend, at the high school, elementary school level. We've even done a show here recently where we talked about preschool-age children are getting more suspensions and expulsions, especially black girls. And we've seen a rise in black girls participating in criminal behavior. But it seems to us that these black babies, black children, are being picked on earlier on and targeted for the criminal industrial system.
Oh, most certainly. And it has, and all the research has been done through people like Dr. Janice Hale Benson, Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, that have provided the evidence to show that these children are being picked on systemically through the system, not just black boys, but black girls, as you've indicated. And as a result of poor test scores, by the time they reach the 3rd grade, the prison industrial complex knows how many more prison cells to build.
Well, then if you know all that, why are you accusing black folk of being that it's the black folks' problem, that the police have to deal with them? You know they've been targeted to act out.
Well, first of all, it's a setup. How dare you? It's a complex situation, and everybody plays the fool sometimes, but it's time for us to stop playing the fool
because we realize,
yes, Cuba Gooding Sr. And to know that since the deck is stacked, we should not play into the scenario. We don't have to play the script out.
Donella Martin, I hold the mothers in particular accountable for these bad acting children.
I have to agree. Our kids are out of control. And I know we can talk about how there's systemic, racism and this and that.
Words.
I love it too, yes.
Systemic.
If only I could pronounce it well. But anyway, we talk about, yes, this system is against us, but we fall into the traps because our children are out of control. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it, okay? The Rise Sister Rise Project did a project on the effect of trauma on black girls particularly, and the effects of trauma on black girls and black women in particular have been underlooked in our society. The effects of trauma, they do affect our children, and by the time our girls are in 3rd grade, a lot of them are out of control. A lot of them are on that path to, incarceration and teenage motherhood, and we need to take responsibility.
I am sick of black women being blamed for all of the faults of the black community. That is sickening, Irv Jallow. Stand up for black women.
Of course I will, but it's not going to be the way you want me to. Half of it is our problem.
You agreeing with her?
Yes, it is our fault. Because first of all, nobody's putting a gun in your head telling you to have babies out of wedlock. That's number one. If he has 4 or 5 children, what makes you think that he's going to take care of your 6th one if you haven't seen
with
any
advocates
of the other
like
ones?
you, I can see why women feel depressed about something.
That's what's missing. No. What's missing in our community is truth.
The truth. We don't want to deal with the truth.
And when we confront...
You can't handle the truth.
Yes, you can.
A lot of black women can't.
When we confront the demons that we're dealing with, the negative situations, the reality...
What's the truth?
Well, the truth is what Irv just said.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You know what the truth is? Let me tell you what truth is.
Yes, it is.
The truth is that we are victims of racism, and we don't ever want to focus on that as being... We don't control one thing in our life.
Once we accept that we're victims of racism, what do? Do we just say, okay,
I'm gonna jump into
lock
that
us
hole.
up, let's all commit suicide together? No, we must, but we have to realize the impact that racism has on us.
And what impact is that?
It's been a devastating impact.
That's
racism,
not good enough.
We're arrested more frequently. We're put in prison more frequently.
Economically disenfranchised.
Economically disenfranchised. Don't have jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to not only confront the realities of our situations, but then do something about it. And self-improvement. Self-improvement is the basis of community development.
And self-discipline.
All we're doing is taking the coward's way out. You know why? Because we don't want to stand up against the big boys and big girls. We want to blame black folk for all the problems on the planet. And that's a conservative, that's that old Mitt Romney stuff.
No.
You're 47%.
You're representing the Mitt Romney position. or actually the Barack Obama position.
The bottom line
I didn't say he was all the way incorrect. He might be right on that. that?
The bottom line is this. If we love our children, we are not going to put them in situations where they don't have a father. If we love our children, we're not going to put them in situations where we have our boyfriends in and out of the house and subjecting our children to sexual molestation. If we love our children, we are not going to pick men who are going to be incarcerated and otherwise other situations where they're not going to be able to provide for our children. If we love our children, we're going to teach them self-respect and self-discipline and all those qualities which will make them
blame the woman, when you say blame the woman, what you're saying saying is don't blame over 70% of their heads of household.
Wait a minute. What I'm saying is that the women are victims of a system of injustice.
And we agree.
Wait a minute. No, you don't. That's perpetuated against them. Y'all wimping out.
No,
so what do we do about it?
I agree with you.
You're scared.
I agree with you. You're right.
Wait.
I agree
That's
with
your
you.
abusive nature.
But however, once you know better, you must do better. And there is no excuse for us not sending our children to school, not protesting because we don't have a good curriculum that includes African American history.
Send them to school to do what? Get indoctrinated?
You didn't hear what I just said. You didn't hear what I just said. African-centered curriculum. You didn't hear what I just said. We have to change that curriculum. It doesn't include
us. But you said we should protest about it.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't protest about it.
Do something
about it. All we got to do is provide one.
Well,
do
something about it.
We have to provide one and implement it.
We're not doing anything.
Everybody has a television in their household, and they've seen more than enough episodes of Maury Povich to know that having a baby does not keep the man.
Hold on a minute. We love them having a television because we love them watching Bounce23.
That's right.
And that's good. Khari, free at last.
And that's
all right,
thank you. But at least the information can now trickle down to the least
of us. It sounds like Ronald Reagan. Trickle down.
Trickle down.
Good Lord.
The politics.
Don't you say that.
They've been officially converted.
Yeah, converted. But I'm saying that here's the problem nobody wants to address. Because you know why? Because it's easy to pick on black folk.
No, it's easy.
It's easy to tell black folk, it's easy to talk like Newt Gingrich.
But it's not easy for us.
Hold on for a minute.
It ain't easy.
Even the convicts are unequal. Up next on Khari, free at last. Welcome back to Khari, free at last. Studies have shown that people of color face disparities in wage rates following release from prison. Evidence shows that spending time in prison affects wage rates with a disproportionate impact on black men and black women. Even the convicts are not equal. Joining me is TalkTainmentRadio.com host Earth Jallow, the Reverend John Coates, and Donella Martin-Braddix. Oh, she comes in right on time. John, look, even when you go to prison and you come out, the white former convicts make more than the black former convicts.
And what white supremacy
here?
has done within America is it has created a second-class citizenship within our nation. And not only can't these men find jobs when they get out, but the reality is that they're not equal citizens in many states because they can't even vote.
This is bad news. Is racism that deep, Donella, or is it really we just are? We don't take responsibility for our own actions. What is it?
Well, it's both. It's both.
It can't be both.
It absolutely, it's complex.
Two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Isn't that the law of physics?
You better say no, but the reality is it is both.
It is both.
And some more.
When did y'all start agreeing? Because this ain't gonna work. Wait a minute. I'm splitting y'all up.
But that's the thing. The thing about it is we always want to look at things from a simple perspective. We look at Dr. King's, struggle, and we're like, well, what happened? We were supposed to continue to work. And the work was not only supposed to consist of civil protests or, public protests. It was supposed to consist of economic development, family revolutions that need to occur within our family structures, the way we raise our children. It's supposed to be a combined effort, which we have forgotten about. And then now that everything's falling apart, we want to blame the government.
Wait a minute. Here we go again. Blaming everything but the source, John.
Well, government has this part, but the source is our community, and we.
It's not our community. First of all, it's not a community. Wait a minute. Community means unity. It means communal. We don't have any unity in our community. Hold on for a minute. We don't own the land. We don't control the streets. We don't control the economics. We control nothing practically in the African-American community. Then you want to put it on people who have no power to all of a sudden have power.
But the source of
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
So you mean to tell me that in your community you can't do your little part and not throw the trash out so you don't look like you live in the hood? You can't do little things like that when you go outside and go outside and clean up the alleys and pick up the yard and the trash in your yard and your neighbor's yard? You mean to tell me that you can't mentor in your community, there's nothing that you can do to help yourself? We are doing it. We're doing it.
Do you understand victimization?
Yeah, I do.
I don't think you do.
You know what?
I don't think you understand the psychology of victimization.
I think for once in our lives as black people that I don't want to be the victim anymore. I'm a survivor. And as a survivor, I know better, so I must do better.
Wait a minute, hold on. The survivalization.
It's about time. And there's better than victimization. I'm a survivor too. And we are the answer to our survival.
Exactly.
We are the answer to our salvation, not just to
So how do
complain
we
to
stop
government.
crime? How do we stop crime in our community?
Stop committing crime.
Look,
How do we stop it?
We stop committing crime, and the first crimes that we should stop committing are crimes against each other. Any injustices towards each other, we need to stop breaking into each other's households. We need to stop beating each other up. We need to stop the domestic abuse and killings. With that 16% of those African-Americans that are in jail for murder.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks to TalkTainmentRadio.com host Irv Jallow, the Reverend John Coates, and Donella Martin-Braddix. And thank you for watching Khari Free at Last. Donella Martin-Braddix.
Stop by bootleg stuff.